And you really want, welcome to my game review for Silent Hill 2. I'm reviewing the HD version for the Xbox 360. Now of course the game was originally released on the PlayStation 2 and the PC. Now I'm ashamed to admit I've never played any of the Silent Hill games up until now. Yes, I know, it's a franchise that I missed out on big time, and I've been fully aware of the actual franchise like Downpour and, Homecoming and all those other games. And now, thanks to this HD collection, I got a chance to replay the first two games, Silent Hill 2 and Silent Hill 3, back on HD glory, and I recently finished the second one of course, so I'm doing a review for it now, and the third I'll be playing very, very soon. Really looking forward to playing that game. But, in the meantime, let's talk about Silent Hill 2. Why did you break up the sun? So the story for Silent Hill 2 follows a character named James Sunderland who goes to Silent Hill after receiving a letter from his wife saying, "Please come to Silent Hill, come to our special place." And it turns out that his wife's been dead for 3 years, and he has to investigate this town. Is his wife actually dead, or is someone playing a twisted, horrible game? And basically throughout the entire campaign of this story, he meets a lot of interesting characters, and basically reveals a lot of hidden facts and a lot of hidden truths behind what happened between him and his wife. And we basically find out what happened, what is this special place, the core mystery of the actual story. The story for me I felt was pretty well done. I felt it was interesting, I felt it was engaging. It was a very, very simple concept, the idea of just, a mystery letter, a character that's gone to Silent Hill, a very creepy town, which if you know of Silent Hill, the games, and of course if you know the movie, you would know that Silent Hill is a very, very bad place for supernatural stuff and just not a place you want to go, especially when you're facing enemies like Pyramid Head and all sorts of weird kind of creatures. And it's a very intriguing story, it's a very simple concept. Now the actual game itself offers I think 4 or 5 different endings to the actual game, so depending on what decisions you make in the actual game, out comes the actual ending. Now I got an ending, which I'm not going to say for spoiler reasons, but I got actually quite a sad ending in all fairness, and I actually felt it pretty effective and I felt it worked quite well with the actual story. But at the same time, I felt it kind of cut off a couple of loose ends, a couple of characters that you meet throughout the actual gameplay, and basically you don't really get a resolve like what happened to them in a sense. The game ends, which is fine, which actually focuses on the main kind of story between you and your wife, of course, but it doesn't kind of wrap up loose ends. But that's what the point of the other endings are. When you get a different ending to the game, of course the other 4 or 5 endings, they kind of introduce the other characters a bit more and they kind of wrap around with them in a sense. Very interesting, and I really liked what they had to offer in this game, and I felt it was engaging, definitely interesting, and it kept you wanting to know what was going on, what the mystery was, and you kind of get hints here and there, little mysteries and certain kind of dialogue which suggests that what's happened, and basically what's happened between him and his wife. And I guessed the ending midway off the game, what was going to happen, especially between James and Mary, his wife. I sort of guessed what was happening and what happened between them two, but it was a very interesting kind of journey from start to finish. The idea of starting from a little bathroom place, going all the way to the hotel, which is the final setting of the actual game, and you find out a lot of really creepy shit, especially the videotape, and just a lot of really cool stuff. And to be perfectly honest, it's really surprised me how good the storyline really was, and it's better than a lot of game stories today, in all fairness. It's very rare to get a game like this which actually focuses on a core story and at the same time offers you a very dread, kind of cold, kind of atmospheric, environment, which actually, puts you in that kind of, mood in a sense. Not many games do that. I think most horror games today, especially in modern games, focus more on the action and the guns. This one does offer you guns, of course. You can get shotguns, you can get pistols on top of stuff, but it doesn't focus mainly on it. It doesn't focus on the action side of it. Focus more on the story and suspense, and basically the heart-pumping moments where you've got to basically run, because some of the actual creatures and monsters you cannot defeat in it. That's the whole purpose, and you see some really creepy stuff, and the actual weird stuff you see in the actual gameplay, which I'm not going to mention, you probably already know for people that have already seen it, reflect on what the characters are, because these characters have been, of course, chucked in there pretty much in Silent Hill, and Silent Hill is a very supernatural place. It basically involves, basically Silent Hill kind of he's a chameleon. It revolves around your kind of worst nightmares, and it kind of tackles upon your darkest fears in a sense. And that's why basically it's the same setting, same town, same creatures, but it just revolves around each individual person. I really like some of the extra characters that we see in the actual game, and we see why are they there, and you can understand sort of what's happening, what the actual main theme of the actual game is, and it's actually genuinely quite interesting. The gameplay is very old school, it's released to the PlayStation 2 and the PC, so the controls you're going to get a bit, clunky in places, and it's very weird to kind of get used to it when you first start to play it. When I first did the first couple of sections of the missions, it took me a while to kind of figure out the controls for it and how to actually properly do it and move it around. But once you kind of figure it out, it's basically becomes muscle memory in a sense. You instantly remember. Of course, you get your standard kind of pistol, shotguns, you get your rifles, you get some really interesting weapons, very basic weapons, of course, and very, very effective. I never had a problem myself. Ammunition you can find throughout the entire game very easily. I imagine the harder difficulties you probably would be very scarce on ammos. The puzzles are very interesting also, are very, very challenging. Some I managed to do by myself fine. I had to use a couple of walkthroughs on one or two of the puzzles, unfortunately. Don't really like doing that, but Silent Hill I have to give you credit for, because you definitely know how to put a good puzzle together. It's because the game doesn't actually spoon feed you or give you like an assignment objective or anything along those lines. It wants you to figure it out, it wants you to investigate and go into these rooms, look around, figure it out for yourself. And I really like one of the best features in this game is the actual map. When you actually go from building to building or place to place, it actually crosses off certain places, or it says this place is locked, or that's a circle, or you can come back to that place. And I really like it's very interactive, and it makes you believe that you're actually going around from place to place, actually crossing people off. And I really love the actual look of the game. It's very got that nice kind of fog kind of mist to it, and you don't know what's on the other side, and the only kind of signal you're going to get is from a radio that you have, and once it starts going crazy in a sense, it's like getting that kind of transmission error, an enemy's coming close to you and you better basically run or shoot the fucker in a sense, pretty much. And I really love the look of the game. The settings are really well done. I think it holds up pretty well considering it's an old PlayStation 2 game. Horror thriller in a sense. It focuses more on the story and the dread and the actual style of the actual game. There's no kind of main action element to it. There is of course guns and you can shoot mock creatures and stuff, but the main focus is the story and the kind of the puzzles, and it makes you think and it makes you on your toes, and it's a very different experience from most modern games today. I really love the idea of the actual soundtrack. When the soundtrack kicks in, it really does kick in. It's really, really emotional, and it really does some really fantastic pieces. I would love to get the soundtrack, personally honest, but a lot of the time when you're outside or in certain places, there is no sounds whatsoever. The only sounds you hear pretty much is when the radio starts going off, or your light starts flashing, or you hear something screaming at you kind of sense. And it's done really, really well in terms of gameplay, in terms of style wise. And considering it's a first time play on the actual HD collection, I think they did a really good job in bringing this game back to life. And from what I know, they didn't actually change that much. They just tweaked little bits of it. Basically, it is a HD. It's the full game from PlayStation 2 and PC, just HD'd. I think the saving points are a little different, of course, on different consoles, but I think the HD collection does a really good job in bringing the game back to life, and I fully enjoyed playing Silent Hill 2. I definitely would play again just to get a different ending. Looking forward to playing Silent Hill 3. So have you played Silent Hill 2, guys? I'd love to know your opinions. Is it good, is it bad? Have you played the HD version? Is there any major differences between the original PlayStation 2 and Xbox version, the PC? Depends on this version. Love to know your opinions. Comment down below. So in the meantime, I just say, signing out.